Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
It's Diana.
I'm Nick.
And we are, where are we? We are at our Southern California satellite
offices
for Team RCIA. We are here in Southern California, in Burbank, California. We've been here since Monday for Easter and to celebrate my nephew and godson's 4th birthday.
He's 4 years old.
I'm
Diana's
4.
the godmother. She's responsible for the spiritual well-being of this child, so we should all be very afraid.
Yes. So we've made sure that he's prayed before eating his pizza.
Prayed before eating his ice cream.
Didn't yell too much. Didn't run around too much.
He wasn't keen on sharing his toys, though.
He did not learn how to share his toys in the sandbox when a little 2-year-old came over. So we'll have to work on his penitential practices and sacrificial practices for the next few days. Anyways, we're here.
So we're staying with relatives. Show them the view that we get.
Oh, okay. So let me see. Hey, Rick. Good to see you. So
that's our view every day.
There's LA. Well, that's Burbank.
I don't know if you can see the hills back there. It's a little smoggy today.
This is actually relatively clear for Southern California. It's in the mid 80s, low 80s.
Low 80s.
So sorry, Midwest and everyone else who are still having snow. I hope you're not having snow. Anyways, we are here and it's Easter. Hallelujah. Yay. We hope you made it through all of your Triduum celebrations.
And we thought because it's Easter, we might say a word about the neophytes and their role in Easter. I know that in lots of our places now, everybody's taking a big breath and they're relaxing, and we're sort of glad we got through it all.
Yes.
And especially for newer teams, what happens is we sort of, I don't know if lose track is the word, but we don't have quite so much energy and excitement around what's going on in this period of post-baptismal catechesis. So we thought we'd talk about that just a bit. And like always, we're going to talk about ideals, what we hope that we can get to eventually. But Diane and I have been talking a lot about the 5% rule lately. Like if we could just get 5% better at doing whatever we're trying to accomplish, whatever our goal is. We're not going to reach the ultimate goal in our lifetime, but if we get 5% better, then that's a step forward. That's progress.
That's all good. So first thing to know for our neophytes is that this is an entire season of reflection for them. It's still we still have a formal season of period of time of formation. So this period of post-baptismal catechesis or mystagogy. Now sometimes that word, that title, if you open up your RCIA and you see that title, we think, okay, so more catechesis, right? So more classes. But you got to read those paragraphs there in those 2 pages for this period to realize that this isn't about catechesis as if we were doing more classes.
And I think some of us also hear that word mystagogy. It's called the period of post-baptismal catechesis or mystagogy, and some of us hear that word mystagogy and think it's like a mystagogical reflection on what happened. And that's good if you can do that, but the primary mystagogical event or the primary catechetical event for the neophytes in these 50 days are the Sundays of Easter, the celebrations of the Eucharist during the Easter season. That's where we should put all of our energy and all of our focus and all of our passion during these 50 days.
So since this is vacation for us, we didn't bring our RCIA text.
Yeah, we're kind of doing this from memory.
But, we really should have all of those paragraph numbers memorized.
Well, it's around 210. It's around
No, it's 240 something.
Oh, sorry. That's right. 210 is wrong.
It's
right.
in the 240s, 244, 246.
Use the table of contents.
But yeah, go to that period, and if you have your RCIA text with you, open it up and you can help us out.
Or chime in on the comments, yeah.
Let us know. It's down on the first page, the very last paragraph of that first page for the period of post-baptismal catechesis, where it says the place where mystagogy happens is the Sundays of Easter. the so-called neophyte masses, right? So I love the way Nick's hair is blowing in the breeze.
I'm glad I'm providing such
It's
depth
the
here
Holy
that you're focusing on my
Spirit.
coif. Yeah.
Anyway, so we want to make sure that if your neophytes are showing up to Sunday Mass, the Sunday Eucharist of the community, you are doing mystagogy with them, because that is the primary place for it.
And along with that, we have to, and again, this is the 5% rule. We're not going to get there this Easter season. But those 8 Sundays of Easter need then to be the very best Sundays that we do. We have to have the best lectors, the best music, the best environment, the best preaching, because these neophytes have been preparing all this time. We've been telling them, we've been dismissing them. Ideally, we've been dismissing them before the Liturgy of the Eucharist and telling them, you just wait till we get to the Liturgy of the Eucharist. You're going to be so blown away, so amazed. And they probably were at the Easter Vigil, and maybe this coming Sunday, but as we get into the 3rd, 4th, 5th Sunday of Easter, the lilies start to die, the choir goes on break, the pastor takes a vacation, so on.
Yeah.
So the Sundays start to not have that sense of care that we take maybe during the Lenten Sundays.
And another thing that happens, and these are all practical matters, and so of course the ideal and the practical, we got to figure out how to put those together. So usually these Sundays of Easter are also times when we celebrate confirmations and First Communions and Mother's Day,
Memorial Day,
and Memorial Day in the United States.
In Minnesota, it's the fishing opener. I remember from
and
my days
in
then.
Australia, it's Anzac Day sometime this week. So there are all of these other things that start creeping into the Sundays of Easter, and this is wonderful. It's a wonderful thing because it's signs of life and vibrancy and all of those good things. But we have to recall that the primary symbol, the living, breathing symbol of the resurrection are the neophytes right there. And so we want to make sure they don't get lost in all of the practicalities and all the other things that we want to celebrate during the Easter season.
Diana, why don't you say a word about how practically we use the neophytes as symbols in the liturgy? What are they?
Okay, so again, we don't have our book, but if you turn the page on that period,
the next page,
the next page
of our imaginary book.
I think I want to say it's 246 or something. That first paragraph on the second page for this period says that we should reserve special places for the neophytes and their godparents at all of these Sunday Masses of the Easter season. And this is the one place in all of the ritual texts that I know of where it says that we should be reserving places of honor. Typically, there are no places of honor reserved for anyone at our sacraments, at our celebrations, except for the neophytes and their godparents. And so we want to keep them front and center in all of our Sunday celebrations.
And I don't think it says this in the rite, but I know in some parishes they'll even have the neophytes dressed in their white robes, at least for the first Sunday of Easter, maybe the second Sunday of Easter. If you want to do it all Easter season, that's great too. But the point, as Diana said, is these folks, it's not just about their conversion, it's not just about them becoming disciples, but their presence all throughout that section on Post-Baptismal Catechesis. It always says the community and the neophytes, and community comes first. So this period of mystagogy is a period of renewal for the entire community, and the neophytes are symbolic expressions of our ongoing renewal.
Yeah. And one of my friends, Fran on Facebook, she had posted a comment about how this whole season she's taking some of those sacrificial practices, those laying down ourselves for others, and really trying to step it up during the Easter season, because the very first paragraph of this section in the RCIA says that this is a time for the community and the neophytes together to deepen their grasp of the Paschal mystery. Mm-hmm. So what does that practically mean? So it says in that same paragraph 4 specific ways that we deepen our grasp. We meditate on the gospel, we celebrate the sacraments, we do works of charity, and we do all of that together. with the community and the neophytes. And so those works of charity, we continue to practice those penitential practices. Even though we're no longer in the penitential season of Lent, all of those practices should have fruitfulness in the Easter season. Doesn't mean we stop doing those. It means that we are doing them with even more joy, even more love and fervor because of the resurrection, right?
And also in that section on mystagogy, it says, if you turn the page of our imaginary book on that second page, it says that somewhere toward the end of the Easter season, closer to Pentecost, we should have a celebration, a party, to just be happy, to express our joy about what's going on with these neophytes. And I always think it's a good idea if you can go back and get last year's neophytes, who are still technically in their neophyte year, so all the folks who were baptized last year, and get them to kind of be in charge of the party, or in some way, help host the party. So they're in a sense, welcoming the new neophytes. If that's a little redundant, but the old fights are welcoming the new neophytes to this life of discipleship with a joyful party.
Yeah. So start now at the beginning of this Easter season. Go back and see if you can dig up and find those neophytes from last year.
They're every Sunday.
We hope. We hope. We hope. But even if
they've moved away or something, or maybe they could send a card, right?
Right. So, and during that gathering toward the end of the Easter season, that would be a great time to do some mystagogical remembering of the baptismal liturgy, and doing some kind of prayerful recalling about water and oil and light and bread and wine. So all of those things that were so significant just a few days ago, 50 days from now, let's refocus and bring those back for our neophytes this year and the neophytes who are completing their neophyte year from their baptism last year.
And I know another thing that happens during the Easter season, it really happens throughout the year in our diocese, but some parishes really try to schedule it in the Easter season, where they have the confirmation of the children who are baptized Catholic and are now, depending on your diocese, 14, 15, 16. The bishop comes to your parish to confirm those children. Now, if you're doing the rite of election the way the rite says, then the elect, when the catechumens became elect, they didn't really meet the bishop in a sense. That's really not part of the rite. Now, I know some places do that. But if you did the ritual the way the rite intends, and the election really was a choosing of the elect and not a meeting of the bishop, you could use this time when the bishop comes to your parish for confirmation, whenever that is throughout this next year, to bring the neophytes along and actually have them, be part of the liturgy again in solidarity with the children now who are entering a life of discipleship, and also to bring them to the reception afterwards, the party afterwards, so they really can meet the bishop, and you could introduce them to the bishop as some of our newest Catholics, some of our neophytes.
Absolutely, and I think too it says that if the bishop celebrates a neophyte mass in the diocese,
some dioceses
you want to bring
that.
your neophytes to that celebration.
Yep.
So there's so many ways that we can keep this Easter season focused on the premier symbol of resurrection living and breathing among us, which are the neophytes. First off, focus on Sunday in your parish, the Sunday Eucharist. Don't worry so much about gatherings outside of Sunday. If you can do that, that's great. If not, don't worry. Make Sunday primary about that. Celebrate anniversaries of baptisms with your neophytes from the previous year. Your old fights. Have a party near Pentecost. Doesn't have to be on Pentecost, but somewhere toward the end of the Easter season, where you remember and gather with the neophytes and those from last year. And use this time, where the bishop is going to many of your parishes, use this time to bring your neophytes to where your bishop is.
Now, we also did, you probably saw it, we sent it out in our newsletter a couple days ago. We did a video about 8 things you can do to take Easter home, and we sort of addressed that video to you guys, to the teams and the folks who have been working so hard, how you can extend the Easter season into your domestic church.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a good thing to offer to your neophytes, and we'll put a link to that. Once we get back to a computer, we'll put a link to that in the comments so you can see that video, and you can send that on to your neophytes to help them extend the Easter season as well.
Or if you're having a gathering with them, it's a 5-minute video. It's very short. You can just play it and talk about it with them. There's also a little prayer at the end of that video you can use as a prayer with your neophytes together. So yeah. Anyways.
So if you have any ideas about how to continue to keep Easter alive throughout this season, to keep the focus on the neophytes, to keep this sense of mystagogy going throughout the period of post-baptismal catechesis, if you have any ideas about that or things that you're doing in your parish that are particularly interesting, write those in the comments below, and so the rest of us can benefit from your wisdom as well.
Oh, there was one thing we didn't mention, that mystagogical preaching.
Oh, yeah.
So for any of you who are deacons or presiders or bishops who are watching this, and you're preaching on an Easter Sunday, a Sunday during the Easter season, that is the primary mystagogical time for you to lead mystagogy, and so that your preaching is a remembering of the meaning of our baptism, the meaning of our discipleship. And so really use that time. That's a privilege that you have for our neophytes.
In the text, the RCI text says that these readings of the Easter season are especially chosen to do that. But then it says, particularly cycle A.
Yeah.
So we're not in cycle A right now, so you probably won't be preaching on that. But you can go to the cycle A readings for inspiration about where to draw imagery and ideas for your preaching for this season.
Yeah. So hopefully that has given you some food for thought during this Easter, the beginning of this Easter season. And we are always so grateful, especially during this time of year, for all of the good things that you're doing in your parishes every week of the year.
And congratulations for having made it.
I know.
You went through a lot of work for Lent and Triduum, and so you guys done a great job.
We've been getting some comments from people or emails from people saying, yes, we baptized 23 at our Easter Vigil, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, that's a lot. So, wow, you guys are amazing. So, congratulations and blessings to all of the things that you're doing. Take a nap if you haven't taken a nap, because, Jesus took a nap too. And so, don't stress. Make this a joyful time for yourself and for everyone who looks to you to be a sign of new life.
All right, everyone. Take care. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Bye-bye.
Bye.